Welcome everyone, and sorry for the first small technical defect. In this webinar, another webinar of the Belux Security Group, we will be discussing how to secure your remote access through a VPN. And we will do the security via the RADIUS protocol, which is then being kind of translated to a modern authentication method, like for example, a mobile push on your mobile authenticator. Sitting next to me is Yves, or rather he's sitting at home.
We're virtually sitting next to each other, right?
Yeah. Thanks to all the techniques and the technology, we're sitting next to each other now. I forgot to kind of present myself. I'm Peter Volkaert. I'm a technical sales within IBM Security Belgium and Luxembourg. And Yves, can you shortly present yourself?
Yeah, my name is Yves de Beer, as mentioned underneath the camera. And I'm a colleague of Peter, and together we will try to show, well, a few slides, very few, but we'll dive into all the details about setting up a VPN. If you're just setting up a VPN to your home network, that's what we start with, and then we will take it a step further and use two-factor authentication to build on that.
That's correct. And about the presentation, so I prepared a small presentation, and let me show that now. There I go. Yeah, so small presentation. The presentation is also available, in fact, by simply following one of the links in the presentation itself, and we will discuss this further on. So the agenda is pretty simple. In fact, I will give an overview of Verify SaaS and how to do that with Verify SaaS. Then we will switch over to the live demos that Yves prepared. And we will go through the installation of a VPN server. We will then install a so-called bridge on-premise component of our Verify SaaS solution. Then we will test that bridge solution. We will also install a RADIUS plugin on the VPN server. And then finally, when the setup is done, we will actually show how to do remote access in a very secure way, using our mobile authenticator or using a code via SMS. And then finally, we will wrap up. So, the product we're showing here is Verify SaaS. It's a product that we've discussed in a previous webcast. It's connecting any identity to any resource in a secure way. It's otherwise known as an identity and access management as a service product, in fact, with all the functionalities that you can see here on the slide. Today, we will focus on one specific use case, in fact, namely how to do multi-factor strong authentication and not simply on a web application, but rather on something else, like for example, a VPN. And the VPN is what we will be showing here. Verify SaaS, it's a SaaS solution. It's easy to get a trial. The link is over there. You can get a trial. You'll be started in 10 minutes. And off you go. You can do all the things that we be showing. You can do them on your own and much more, of course. Then let's discuss what Yves will be showing here very briefly. So we have, of course, an employee who wants to remotely access the enterprise's network. So how is this done? Well, the employee has a laptop, installs a VPN client will be connecting to the VPN server. And then the VPN server, well, there are different manners to do authentication on a VPN server, ranging from not so secure to much better security. And one of the things that a VPN typically can use is the RADIUS protocol. And the RADIUS protocol allows you to connect to a RADIUS server. And that RADIUS server can then actually do the authentication as you want it to be. Typically, username password with our solution, which is the Verify bridge for RADIUS. It's a bit more than that. It can also do multi-factor authentication in a number of ways. So hence, what do we have? The OpenVPN server equipped with a RADIUS plugin is talking to what is shown here as the Verify bridge for RADIUS. That's an IBM component, which will allow you to capture the RADIUS requests and then translate that to multi-factor authentication as a service through our SaaS solution, which is here on top in the blue box, IBM Security Verify. And then you see this little purple box, which is anti-red ping, and that's a utility that we will be using to test our Verify bridge for RADIUS on the level of RADIUS, and it's a very convenient way, in fact, to check everything is okay before actually doing an integration with the VPN server. And that kind of summarizes what the technical setup that we've provided. Why is this an important use case? Well, it is securing VPN access. So VPN access, which can be done in multiple ways, as I said. It can be ranging from very, let's say, insecure, not so secure. Sometimes you don't even need to have a password, and you simply install like a certificate, but the certificates can then be shared unless if there's a password and so on. So what we'll be doing here is actually securing that VPN access. VPN access is something that is pretty, let's say, sensible or pretty easy to attack by hackers. And with our solution, you can avoid that kind of breaches. Of course, what our solution offers is not only multi-factor authentication for VPNs or for RADIUS clients, but rather it has a complete set of things that you can do on the level of access management and also identity governance and administration. And all that in a central place. So that is the so what, and I'll leave the audience that to read in the presentation for the details, and then it's time to skip over to Yves again.
It's time to do the fun part.
Yeah, now comes the fun part. And are you ready, Yves?
I'm ready. Yeah. So maybe you've seen it through the invitation as well. I think it's on the resources mentioned as well. But basically what we will be showing here is going through a blog that was written recently, and I will put it in the chat so you can follow along. All the steps that we're about to show. So what I have, you can see my screen, yeah.
Yep.
So what we have here is the CentOS server, the Linux, and the Windows 10 machine, which you'll be using to do the VPN stuff. So let's go through have a look at the blog. So things we will need to do first is, well, we start to install the OpenVPN. So from the blog, you can also see the resources that you can download. Now, I've already downloaded the OpenVPN install script. So I will just start it and install the OpenVPN. It needs to know the IP address. This is my local IP address. You can all leave the defaults. It will automatically use the public IP address from my internet provider. We will change this afterwards, but you can just leave it right now. Well, all the defaults should be fine. The default port 1194. UDP, that's okay. DNS resolver, just keep them all default. Press any key, and that's it. Everything is downloaded. What we get now is a client name. So I can just type in VPN user, for example. We can use a passwordless client. If you want, you can add additional password to protect your private key. Just leave it like that. And this is the client profile that is generated that we need on our client in order to make a connection to the server. Let's see. So that is automatically generated in my home directory. Now on the Windows part, I've already downloaded the OpenVPN client, which you can find the link in the blog as well. So, well, let's install it. This is the client that we'll use to make a connection to our server. Install. And that should be quite quick. And here we go. So maybe you are familiar with this kind of interface. It's the OpenVPN client. Of course, there are other clients you could use as well. Typically, well, the OpenVPN server generates a .ovpn file. So let's see on our Linux what that looks like. So we can copy it over. That's the easiest way, or you can transfer it as well. Let's just copy this. And I have here already another one, but I will need to edit it. Just replace everything with the new client profile. As I mentioned, typically you would use this to do a remote connection, typically to internet connection. So if I would use this outside of my home environment, I could leave that address to my public IP. Of course, if you want to do that, you need to make sure that this port 1194 gets routed through your internet access point. But here we will just set up a connection to our Linux server. This is 105, I think. Just save this one. Come on. Yeah. And then we can just open this file, VPN user, and we can try a connection. See what happens. It doesn't make a connection directly. And this is probably because I still have the firewall running. So I also mentioned in the blog is that we can open up the firewall on our Linux server. And now you see we get a connection. So in the blog is also mentioned if you don't want to stop the firewall, but you just want to make sure that this UDP port is just given access to your OpenVPN server, that will work well, the same way instead of just stopping the firewall. But you see, it's very easy to set up a VPN server, get your client connected to that, and you get an IP address and access to that server or to the network that is connected to your Linux OpenVPN server. And so on the Windows client, we should also be able to see that we get an extra adapter. IP config. You see that we get an address in the range of 10.8.0.2. This is also what is, if we're looking at the configuration of the OpenVPN server, which one is it? Server.conf. You can see that it serves addresses from that range. So the 8.0.2 is the one that is given to our client when we connect. So that's pretty easy, right?
Yeah, I think that's the first step. Yves, you installed a VPN server and you tested the VPN client, and as for now, the authentication is simply based on do you have the right client config file installed on your client?
Indeed,
in your system.
and that's also in this file. If you look at it, it has all the key material and the certificates in order to communicate as a client to the server. So you already have a secure connection on that.
Yeah.
So if you would just need to, maybe you have a home assistant running at your home on a Raspberry Pi, you want to make a connection, that's as easy as it gets. You can install OpenVPN client even on your phone. There are other clients to do that as well. So you can get access to your home environment just by using this kind of configuration. Now let's look at the next step. Well, we will install the RADIUS server. From the blog, there are some links provided where you can download this IBM Security Verify Gateway for RADIUS for free. I have already downloaded over here. So let's just set it up. That's all right. I accept. Next, install. And it's already there. So now we should see in program files. Maybe I need to do a refresh on that. Yeah. So now it installed directory IBM Radius, and that's where we have our configuration files for the Radius. Let's see. There's also an example file over here, a sample file which you can use as a reference, and we will come back to that later. There's also some policies in there, but we will just edit the main configuration file mentioned. Of course, our Radius server is the one that will connect to IBM Verify SaaS. So in order to get a connection, we need a client ID and a client secret in order to make the connection to our IBM Verify SaaS environment. Now, here I have a connection. Let's log in to my Verify SaaS environment. I will show you where you need to configure this API client for the Radius to talk to. This is on the admin side. And on the security tab, you have API access. And I have configured here an MFA client, which is enabled. It is mentioned in the blog what kind of entries you need to, or entitlements you need to give it. So for example, this API should allow you to authenticate any user. I think there are 4 of them: read, authenticator, registration for users. So it needs to access user information in order to provide the authentication part. Now on the API credentials, you will see that we have a client ID and a secret. This is the one that we will need to fill in on the IBM RADIUS configuration file. So let's start. I already prepared it, so to make it quicker, let's just forget about all this. And just replace it like that. So you see that is the client ID. Now for the secret, it is mentioned how to generate that, but there's a IBM RADIUS command -obf. And then when you put in the secret, it will generate this kind of obfuscated value. So I can quickly show that. IBM RADIUS -obf, and then if you type in the secret that is mentioned over here, you should be able to get, come on. So you get, I don't know how this is generated, but every time it's a different value, but it's some time calculation in that as well, as you see. But it works. It's never the same value, so you can well, you can trust on this one. If you copy that one or that one, that should work. But at least it's obfuscated. So what we do here is we connect to the API. This is my host of my Verify instance. And as a client, we will give an address 192.168. There's a secret that needs to match with the client. And as an authentication method, we will use password and device, meaning that we need to provide a user ID and a password. And after this has been validated, it will send a push notification to my device that is enrolled with my user ID. And what's also interesting is the trace file. We will show that later. That's a lot of useful information when you're debugging or setting this kind of stuff. So let's see. We need to save this one. But that's not gonna work, I think, because I need to be administrator, right? So let's just do it once more. Don't save. Notepad, run it as administrator. We open up this file, the IBM RADIUS config. We just replace everything with the right information. Then we save this one, and that should be good. Now we need to start the RADIUS service. Services. And when we look, there's an IBM Security Verify Gateway. We can have a look at the properties. We can start it, hit apply, and that should be fine. It's running. So far so good. So like Peter mentioned, we use a tool called anti-red-ping, which allows you to do radius testing, which is very handy if you're not familiar with radius or the first time. It's easy to see what's going on. So we don't have a connection yet with our VPN server, but we're just testing the component of the radius one. My radius server is my server here running, the 186. Yeah, by default it will have 2 seconds or something like that. But since we will challenge the user to put in a user ID and a password and get a push notification, well, the user ID and the password is over here, but we'll get a push notification. You need to respond to that, and then you get access. If we leave it at 2 seconds, that doesn't leave time to reply to the push message. So I have here a demo user and a password, and we will just send off an authentication request to the Radius server. Just, okay, let's do that. And see what happens. And in fact, nothing happens. It says rejected. Why would it be?
That could be because the password is incorrect or the user is not.
Yeah, normally it's. Let's try it.
Oh, Eve, did you change the secret? Did you obfuscate the secret after you noticed that your notepad was not running as an administrator?
No, but it should have the same secret. Now let's see what's. Yeah, I can try to copy it. Yeah, but I need the real secret.
Yep.
Client secret. Oh, we generated. No.
Of course, as you said, to troubleshoot it, it's easy to go and look after the trace file of the bridge. Which
Yeah,
is
let's see this secret over here. Let's copy it. I think it's changed now. So Control V. That's the one. Okay. Copy it and put it in here. Is it? No, that's only one. Like that. File save. And now I should have my services.
Restart the service, indeed.
Okay, now where's my red ping utility? $186.
So what you have to put in there is the IP address of your Windows server.
That is the IP address of the Windows server. That is correct, but the access got rejected. Right. So it's time to do some debugging.
Yep.
So I will use WinTail over here.
And did you use, what user did you use? Because in the blog there's demo user that you're using, not VPN user. I don't know which one you used.
It's a demo user, yeah.
Okay.
The secret is correct. Yeah, password and device, that should all be fine, yeah. So let's open up program files. Oh, sorry, it's in TMP. This is the one.
Yeah.
So let's do another test and see what happens. Failed to post message. Let's check for sure that we have the right. Which one is it? Yeah, it's still the same. Let's see if this demo user, maybe take another one. It's very Fred, yeah, the same password. Calling station ID 050.
Calling station, that's the client, in fact. So that's the anti-rat ping. That's the
Wait.
calling.
I'm still here connected with this VPN. Let's disconnect this one because.
Yeah, I think I had that once also in my testing, Eve.
Yeah. There's a lot more happening now. Let's try it again with this. Abort this one. Let's try again with the demo user. So you see there's quite a bit communication happening, but I should get a push notification.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, okay.
No?
Yeah.
No.
No? I thought you were.
Yeah, I have it. You can see it on my mobile phone now. Yeah. So I can approve it. So I need to look. I hope you saw it on the phone as well. Yeah. But I'm not sure if that's in time. Yeah. It worked. Yeah. Maybe the first time it's a bit needs to set up connections. So you see a lot of messages happening in the log file, and finally we get a reply verify success. If you leave this as 3 seconds, no way you will get the verify success. But that's a good way to debug your RADIUS component and see how everything is acting and working. So if there are questions, or feel free to put them in the chat, but I don't see anything coming yet, so that's all clear. Now let's see what's next. So we have our VPN server set up. We have a client that's able to connect. We have the RADIUS component that is able to communicate with IBM Verify SaaS through the API. Now what we need to do is, okay, if we authenticate using the VPN client, we want to verify this using the radius that will talk to the IBM Verify SaaS to do all the verification stuff. So next thing we will need to install is on our VPN server, we will need to install the Radius plugin. So when you look at the blog, it's section 4. I've already downloaded the component, but you can find the link over there, which is the Radius plugin v2.1a beta 1. The link is in the blog. I think, Peter, you did some research and you find there are maybe 10 or more Radius plugins out there.
There is a load of Radius plugins that are available for OpenVPN. So since OpenVPN is also open source for a great deal, in fact, so what we're using here is the Community edition, and they publish, like, I think there were a dozen Radius plugins, each with their own characteristics. We've chosen one, and one that works. That's fine. But in more commercial VPN solutions, the Radius interface is often already embedded, and you just need to configure a Radius server. So that's another remark. So there's
this is one that's free that just talks to Radius server. That's about it. So let's just untar this one. That's quick. And well, I already installed the libraries to do the make of the components of the libraries. So let's just run through the make. You will see here that that's all the source code if you want to add something or make modifications. So now we'll just compile the objects. We'll see some warning, but that's just fine. So what it generated are two files, the radius plugin.cnf and the radius plugin.so. So let's copy these ones. Copy radius cnf to our configuration directory, OpenVPN. And same for the SO. Now that's where we have the code. We can go into the directory that our files are located. Now, in order to make this plugin active, we just need to edit the server.config file. And at the end, we can just add this line from the blog. I'll just put it in here, and it just uses the library and the configuration file. Anything else on that side? Let's continue. So the plugin should be loaded until, well, we need to restart it, but before that, we need to configure the plugin itself. And the plugin itself has a few entries that we need to change. The name and IP address of the, well, let's go to the beginning first. You'll see the NAS IP address. This is the IP address of our VPN server itself. That's 192.168.0.105. Oops. What else do we need to change? There's an entry about accounting, non-fatal accounting. It's a bit contradictory, but non-fatal account, it can be set to true if accounting is not essential. So we'll have to set this to true in order to do not bother about accounting, since Our RADIUS version doesn't support or doesn't have features for doing accounting. Not sure if people actually use this still. And then on the server part itself, where is our server located? Of course, this is our Windows Server 186. And there's a wait time that we should wait. That's also very important since we want to work with the push notifications. We don't want to lose this information. And the shared secret is like we defined on the RADIUS side. Easy password. So I think that's it. Right. And now all we need to do is restart our VPN server. And that should be it. So let's verify status, and it's actually running. And it's active and running. Okay.
All right.
Parts are good. So we have our VPN server. We modified a bit and it's able to communicate with our RADIUS server now. So lots of components here, but we'll glue them all together. Now, in order to make a connection to our VPN server, we still need to modify the client configuration file. So if you remember from the first connection profile that we set up, we had this where we changed the IP address. But one thing we need to add is you didn't ask for a username and password, so we will make that happen now. User pass. Just save this one. We can close it. And now within our VPN, well, we can just delete this old profile and we can reload the one that will use a username and password. You see here, username, password. So let's give it a go. What do you think, Peter?
Yeah, all set. Maybe you, on your mobile phone you can go back to your home screen to make it a little bit more clear of what's happening with a nice mobile push. There you go. Thanks.
Yeah. So let's try and connect. We use our demo user. Type in the password. And let's see what happens. In the log files, we see already something happening. Yeah, I have the impression that the first time when everything is set up, it takes a bit more, but the log files are processing. So
let me look at the log files. Okay.
pending. Nothing happening on the mobile side. I'm not sure if I think I have.
Yeah, what sometimes happens, Eve, is that the notification, since there's already, maybe you can open your Verify Authenticator and see if something has arrived. Like for the VPN.
No. For first thing we can already verify is that if it's actually communicating with our VPN server. So what we can do is do a TCP dump on the Linux one on our interface, and we will listen to anything that comes in from our Windows server.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's retry this one. Yeah. Oh, there you have it. Now it works. So you see on the mobile, do you approve this request from OpenVPN? So, okay. And now we should get through. Verify success, yeah.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Well, you see a lot of communication happening over here.
Yeah.
But you should see from the beginning somewhere the radius requests. Where is it? Somewhere, yeah, here you see it. So that's where you see the access requests and the replies. That's happening between the client and, well, through the OpenVPN server back to the Radius. Radius goes to IBM Verify and then gets back with a Verify success message.
Yeah.
And then we establish the VPN. So I think second time should work quickly.
Maybe you can do it a second time, and
yeah,
because I don't recall that it took longer at my side, but
yeah, maybe you need to play a bit with timeouts as well to make it quicker. Yeah, strange. I don't know if it takes 1 minute to process. I don't think so.
no, not at all. It took.
Maybe let's take another user. I don't know if that has something to do with it. Don't think there's any setting that I missed. No, normally that's.
I don't think so. I didn't see that now. It's something for us to further investigate, I guess, why it's taking so long. And in our previous testing, it took a few seconds, in fact, to get.
Yeah.
Sometimes the notifications are hidden because there's been some, but if you go into the authenticator, you should should see
then now I get the approval.
Yeah, is that because you opened the authenticator then?
No, it was open already. So, but it failed to connect.
Yeah, I guess it's something wrong with your network connections or so.
Yeah, that's the process that you can follow to set it up.
Now it's there right away. I can see it on your mobile, Yves.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So it is.
Yeah, it works fine. Yeah, so it must be some.
So it took a few seconds the last time.
Yeah. So well, there you have it. Quite well. We glued everything together, and now the nice thing about this solution is that we only need one client profile, and all the access is done through IBM Verify. looking at a user, of course, he needs to have the multi-factor authentication enabled for him, but that's pretty easy to set up. Let me show you quickly, maybe. So let's log in as a normal user, like Fred, for example. Well, of course, Fred can have his applications over here, but if we go to his profiles and settings, and on the security tab, of course, in order to change anything on security, we first need to have this multi-factor authentication, which should, there's some delay in the network, I think, here. Maybe let's try it another time. Yep. So I get a push notification, and now I get access to my security information setup. And it continues to the next page. Come on. No. USC. Let's try it again. Security. Something that the push notifications are not coming through directly. No, I don't know what's happening, but let's try another method. Enter, so you already also see the other way. The one-time password code for Fred should be 632990.
Yeah, somebody from
Because I I think that's a
if you
good
skip the
remark.
chat, yeah, you
Yeah,
might
yeah,
be in
yeah.
not disturb, and then sometimes sometimes depending on the configuration, that also kind of propagates or is synchronized with your iPhone if you're on a Mac like Evis.
Yeah.
That's good thinking of the person in the chat.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, now we're in the settings. That's where you can also see the verifications, where you can add new methods for that. So typically, if a user gets created, just use ID and password. He will need to log in and add those additional OTP challenges to his profile. So you want to show this now, Peter? Or, for example, if you want to use, let's suppose that Fred, well, in this case, we're using the authenticator from IBM Verify, but suppose that you want to use the Google authenticator.
Yeah.
We can just remove this one, and we can add an authenticator app.
Authenticator one, and then use your Google Authenticator to register.
Yeah. So let's do the Google Authenticator. Let's add this one. Scan the code. Okay, next, test your authenticator, and that should be 64497. If I'm still in. Okay. So now Fred is using the Google Authenticator as a TOTP mechanism, authentication mechanism, right?
Yeah, so we can use that. So if you want, we can change that on the side of the bridge and change the configuration, because now it's set to password then device.
Yeah, so the radius is configured password and device.
Yeah.
And I think it's also in the blog that if you
Yeah,
want to use TOTP, well, we just need to change that one. But it's either one of those. It's not NN, but
it's
so let's just try this, huh?
yeah.
TOTP. File save. Now in the services tab, just need to restart the IBM Verify, the gateway for Radius.
So you change it to device and TOTP, right?
Yeah. So that's fine. So let's disconnect, confirm. Now when we open, instead of giving a password here, we need to put in the challenge from the authenticator, which is 037648, and add the password to that. And you see we have a connection as well.
Yeah, connection now. So
we
as
see
you can see,
works pretty good. Yeah.
Much depends on the VPN client, in fact. So in this VPN client, he allows you to enter a password, and since there's only one field password, so you have to enter the one-time code and the password in one string, separated by the 2 points, by the colon, I mean. But there are many possibilities in the gateway. For Radius, for example, if you have a VPN client that allows you to make a choice between the different methods, that's also possible. But of course, that depends on the OpenVPN client, on the VPN client. In this demo, in this webinar, we're using the OpenVPN client, which is kind of restricted to a number of ways of doing. Namely, well, he can only do username password. That's the only input he can get, and he cannot actually talk to the Radius like some other VPNs clients can do. So
yeah, that is for example, if you would want to use SMS as an authentication method in this VPN client, there's no way you can put a code that you receive through SMS. So that's a bit annoying. But maybe, like you said, there are other clients that might be able to handle that as well. But here are two methods which I think you could are a very secure method and very easy to control from a central point of view to do the administration. You don't need to distribute a lot of client profiles. Everything is handled from the server side. Okay, so we're right at this point. We've shown already quite a bit. I think, Peter, let's take it still a step further.
Yeah, it's 2:03 I see on my clock. Yeah, maybe a few words on policies, in fact, because the Radius bridge that we have can also have policies, and we have kind of configured and also tested a number of policies. And one of these policies is, okay, the user cannot connect to the VPN if he's not in a specific group within the Verify SaaS solution. like a group like, for example, VPN users. So that's one policy that we've tested. Another policy that we've tested is that for specific groups or specific users, they do not have to provide a multi-factor authentication. So that's in a special case where you want to make sure that, for example, your administrators are not only have to provide username and password to connect via the VPN. So these are two example policies, and I'll probably, if I find the time, I'll probably explain these in a separate blog on the IBM community.
Yeah, maybe we can already quickly show it over. I loaded this sample policy.
Yeah.
And well, before that, we just had the IBM, the API definitions, the clients, and also added the policy over here. Did I miss? No, that should be fine. Something that matters. So like Peter mentioned, we have different policies. For example, if the user is part of the user group admin, you just get access without any push notification. And for all other users, we say here that it has to be the user group of the user within Verify. The user has to be a member of the VPN users. If that is the case, they receive a push notification and can connect.
Yep.
And then finally, I think you just added some information to this policy. Mainly for logging purposes.
Yeah, for logging purposes, what you can do is, sort of a default policy is that you, what is called reflect. So you're repeating, in fact, in your answer to the RADIUS client what you have received. And that's interesting for troubleshooting purposes, in fact.
Not sure if I restarted everything correctly. But Jessica, yeah. See, Jessica, I changed it back again to do the push notification together with the policies. And Jessica, which the user is that I'm using over here. Let's try it once more. She is part of the admin user group.
Yeah, indeed. She was recently promoted to an administrator in Verify SaaS, I remember. Okay.
Come on. She didn't get depromoted, right? So we can easily verify this. UI. Did I put it right, Jessica? Okay. In the logs, you see it in the log files. Our policy is quite responsive, and that's why we added this logging information that you see that Jessica is member of admin and of sales. So this is and the policy says automatically, access granted, admin are allowed to bypass MFA. And this is also the message that we provide within the policy.
Yep.
This is the message. But I don't know why. First time it worked, now. Meantime, let me log in over here and show you where this definition of Jessica is located. So with the users and groups. We see that in the admin group. Well, now we can look at Jessica directly. We can see that she's a member of admin and of sales. And if we use, I don't know about the other users, which one was it? Demo user. Demo user doesn't have any groups, so you should not be able to connect. Demo user. Page field directly.
Yeah.
And it says access denied. User is not authorized to use a VPN service. And if we put, well, let's take our VPN users and let's just add demo user to that. Done, save. And now if we try again, okay. You see already a lot of more happening as a connection, and on my phone I also get the
you get the
request.
notification, all right. So you can see it's actually a number of seconds that you have to wait until, like 1 or 2 seconds until you have the push message.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think that's quite interesting to see that there's a lot of flexibility, also fine-grained definitions of users that you could put in user groups. Maybe not everybody from your Verify directory needs to have access through the VPN, but that's an easy way to control who has access to your remote environment.
Yeah.
Just by using one client profile.
Okay.
So
I guess it's
that's
time
about
to
it.
wrap up, Yves. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't see any additional questions in the chat. Maybe if there are still, feel free to post them over here.
All right.
You still had a slide, Peter, or not?
Yeah, I still have a slide. Well, it's kind of a wrap-up slide, so I just wanted to point out what we've seen here, or what Yves did, installing, configuring an OpenVPN server, configuring our bridge component for Radius, testing the bridge component with anti-red ping, installing the Radius plugin, and then showing a number of things. And you've shown quite a lot. So mobile push is something that we've shown. But also the policies like you must be in the VPN users group, or if you're in the group of administrators, you must not provide multi-factor authentication. These are things that we've shown. We've also shown kind of an extra, namely the one with the Google Authenticator, where you can, you don't per se have to use the IBM Verify Authenticator. If all your users already have the Google Authenticator, that's fine, and you can simply go by that. And we've also discussed a little bit how this all depends on the VPN solution you're using. Then, well, I will leave you with some webinar resources. Again, a link to Yves' blog, the documentation of the Verify Gateway Bridge, a cookbook. The presentation itself is also available on that link that's been shown here, and we will also show it on the chat right away. And then some general Verify SaaS resources. And I think with that we can wrap it up and say thank you to our watchers.
And of course, you can always review this session either here on Twitch or on YouTube. We will make the video available. And stay tuned for another hot topic, maybe. We'll keep it quiet, but we're thinking about new things, right?
right. We have TikTok on our mind, for example. I'm also going to publish a blog which goes very deep into what we've just seen, namely the Verify Radius bridge.
Yeah.
And with that, thank you, Yves, for your nice demos and the collaboration that we had. And thanks for all our watchers, and see you guys on the next webcast.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.